All right, call order the zoning board meeting to discuss appeal number 499. Yeah, we need to read through the whole meeting notice.
Read the little blurb notice. What it's for, what the appeal is for.
Okay, so this is appeal number 499, applicant Anita Garcia, 54 Oakland Ave. Area variance to demolish an attached garage and rebuild a new one in its place, closer than the setback is allowed. On step one of the explanation of request from the applicant owner, Mr. Delvecchio, are you going to speak on behalf of the owner?
Yes, sir. Good evening, board. I can only see three of you. I don't know.
That's
Okay.
all we got.
Oh, you got. Oh, you got a quorum. Okay. All right. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
All right. So good evening. Yeah, I'm here on behalf of the applicant owner, Anitra Garcia, and I did submit a letter, somewhat of a comprehensive letter, sort of detailing the area variance request in general. Somewhat simple here. My client is just has plans to reconstruct a detached garage that sits in the rear of the property. And the issue really has to do with the 10-foot side yard setback, which is required in the village of Homer. I did supply the board with a copy of the existing survey. And if you take a look at the survey, it shows the garage as it exists. And it's actually 1.8 feet. Let's see here. The northwest corner of the garage is 1.8 feet from the side yard, the side boundary line as it exists. And the southwest corner of the garage is about 2.2 feet. So recognizing the fact that, that we plan on building sort of a replacement garage, code enforcement officer of the village indicated that we should comply with that 10 foot side or 10-foot side yard setback. And so that's why we're asking the board for consideration of this area variance. And in general, I've laid out the factors that I'm sure the board is aware of under the test. I guess I'd like to point out that there absolutely will not be an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or detriment to nearby properties if the board were to grant this area variance. The garage as it exists now is going to be improved, and I don't see how that would be in any way, shape, or form a detriment to the neighborhood. Can my client achieve the side yard setback by another method or means? Yes, you could move it over and comply with the 10-foot setback. But as it exists, his plan is to just demolish what's there now and to reuse the concrete slab. And to alter the concrete slab, I would argue respectfully, is not feasible under the circumstances. In terms of whether or not the variance is substantial, one could argue that allowing for 8 out of the 10 feet is somewhat substantial, but I would counter that position basically by saying that garage, I think this is somewhat of a weak argument, but it's an argument. The garage was always in that position. I think well before he bought the property. So that's basically what I'd have to say in response to that. Let's see here. So as to whether or not there would be an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district, I don't see any negative effect or any effect at all in that regard. And fifth, the self-created hardship aspect to this, I would actually argue that this is not self-created, given the fact that my client purchased the property in 2013. The garage was there when my client purchased the property. And I think the garage, I have reason to believe that the garage was in its location even before the village granted any subdivision approval in the first place. I think many of those parcels were subdivided back in the day, and the garage itself is rather old. So again, I would argue that when it comes to the actual side yard setback, that was not self-created by my client. Based on those circumstances, the board, I'm sure, understands completely that in an area variance, the factor analysis is non-dispositive, which basically means that my client doesn't have to prove to you, or you don't have to find that all of the factors have been met by my client. You can use your best judgment to sort of balance how you feel appropriate given what the factors are. But I would argue that all of these factors have been met, and I'd ask that the board grant the variance as requested. Any questions or anything you'd like me to follow up on? I'm glad to answer those questions or make further comments.
Actually, I think for this section of the meeting, we'll see if there's anyone else from the public that would like to ask any questions or add, and then we'll move on to the court where we ask questions, and there'll be no public comment during that time. So is there anyone in the room that would like to speak towards this application? Dan, did we receive any letters from neighbors or anything?
Negative.
Okay. At this time, I will close the explanation from the applicant owner and move on to questions from board members. At this time, we'll go public comment. Please.
What is the reason for replacing the garage?
Just improvement. The foundation of the garage toward the rear is deteriorated significantly. There's some cracking, but it's simply for an improvement.
So it's aesthetic.
I'm sorry.
Aesthetic or structural?
Yes. Yeah. Just structural and to improve the aesthetics of the actual building.
Okay, so you're basically saying that the impetus has been starting to look shabby.
Boy, I'm just having a hard time hearing you, ma'am. I'm sorry.
It's a big room. So you
Oh, you
gotta.
want to come?
You
Okay.
can step up if you'd like. Sure.
Oops.
I'm
Careful.
sorry.
So it's not pretty anymore. It's on the starting to look shabby or not.
No, if
conforming with the rest of the appearance of the neighborhood or the house.
I went over there myself and looked at it, it doesn't look bad. It's just there's a concern in the long run that deterioration potentially will cause further damage. Cars are parked in there. We don't want that to happen. So yes, the main reason is for safety. I'd say a secondary reason is for aesthetics.
Okay, but you said the foundation was fine and but the back of the foundation is not fine.
Currently, there's some cracking.
Okay, so it needs to be repaired but not replaced.
The foundation, everything's going to be replaced. It's going to be totally demolished. The only thing that's going to remain is the concrete slab that it sits on.
Slab. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, can you articulate what exactly is the hardship that necessitates the variance?
What the hardship is?
Yeah.
Well, one could argue that because my client purchased the property and the world knew that the side yard setback is 10 feet, that he bought a property that is not in compliance with that side yard setback. And so,
I'm asking what the hardship is that requiring a variance.
geez, I'm sorry, ma'am. It's so muffled.
What is it that, what is the hardship that they're asking for a variance to alleviate?
So we're really, I don't understand your question, I guess. There's no, well, I'm not saying that there's a hardship. What I'm arguing is that the hardship was not self-created. The hardship being the fact that there's a 10-foot side yard setback and the building as it currently sits is not in compliance with that.
What I'm hearing you say is that there is an existing garage when the person purchased the property, that garage was there. They knew the garage was there. And now if they want to build a new garage, they are perfectly capable of building a new garage in compliance with existing zoning laws. Is that correct?
Yes?
So there's no reason for variance.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I didn't hear you.
You said it's correct that they're perfectly capable of building a new garage in compliance with existing law.
Yes.
So there's no reason that I'm hearing for a request for a variance.
Well, the reason is I laid out all the reasons as it pertains to the law and the factor analysis that the board is obligated to go through for that request. One of which is, was the hardship self-created?
And you're saying that the hardship in fact is self-created because they can build a garage in compliance with existing law. So that it's a hardship is self-created.
What I'm saying,
Exists.
what I'm saying is that they didn't self-create that hardship. That's what I'm saying.
Are you saying that there is space on this property to build a garage elsewhere?
Oh, of course.
Okay, and so the person simply chooses not to, in order to use the existing slab.
That's correct.
Just the one comment that I had is that the PG builders, the contractor information, it does seem to indicate that they're calling out pouring a 4-inch concrete slab in that demonstration of work. It does seem they're pouring a new slab in.
Oh, it does say that they're pouring a new slab.
It says 32 by 30 4-inch concrete slab reinforced with fiber wire mesh installed.
Okay, maybe they are, maybe my client does have plans to improve the slab. That's not my understanding, but my understanding is they're gonna, the location of the building is gonna remain exactly in the footprint that it is in.
Okay. Yeah.
Notification. One.
It's that last item. I just wanted to point out that it's calling out a new slab.
Where is he?
Yeah, but it's permanent, so.
Yeah.
Um, Okay, at this time, we're gonna move on to the decision meeting. Again, there's no public comments. It's a few housekeeping items here. The seeker, Mr. Dante was here, would agree, this is a type 2 action, it would not require a seeker. So just want to note that for the application. You do have to do the balancing test. So the review for an area variance balancing test, there's 5 questions. The first question, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to the nearby property will be created.
No.
I would say no. I'd say it's no different than exists now.
Created a new area for the building, I would say, no, but it exists.
So that would be 4 no's. Second question is whether the applicant can achieve his goal to be a reasonable alternative, which does not involve the necessity of an area variance. I would say
Yes.
yes. There's a lot of room in the yard that could be moved there.
The attorney said yes.
Is that 4 yeses?
Yeah.
4 yeses. The third question is whether the variance is substantial.
Yes.
The setback being 10 yard or 10 feet, sorry, down to 1.8 or 2.2. I would say yes, and that's a large chunk of that. So 4 yeses. Number 4, whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. It's worded slightly different. So this is a different. What will be a detriment to nearby properties? So the first question, and whether this will have an adverse impact. The question is whether the variance will have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No.
I would say no, but 4 no. The final question is whether there has been any self-created difficulty.
Yes.
I would probably say yes, because there are, I can see benefits to not moving the driveway that I would say yes, that you could move.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so that's 4 yeses for the final question. So again, this is a area variance, so we don't have to find the findings for those questions are not determining our answer here. It's kind of, in the end, it's the benefit of the applicant versus the harm to the neighborhood. So there's some judgment call on how that goes out.
You want to vote? Or you want
We will need a motion, but I was hoping that if there's any final questions, you don't want to talk about anything.
I'm just confused why the permit says that they're gonna use the existing slab, but the quote says that they're putting in a new slab. Why is that?
Was that question for me?
Yeah,
I wish I had Nitra here to answer that. I was told that they were going to use the existing slab, so I'm wondering if they're just going to improve the slab. That's my guess, but I can't answer that any better than that. Maybe, perhaps they're going to make it thicker or more supportive. That's another educated guess.
Actually, I mean, the application. Brief description of proposed action says that the reuse the same photo. So it doesn't pertain to the reuse thing.
doesn't matter.
I mean, they just have to change their driveway. I know. I'm just thinking of that. Yeah. That's the angle. Yeah. It doesn't seem. Like, oh, my neighbor had a creating garage and they replaced it. I mean, what we're weighing is the detriment to the neighborhood, the neighborhood, the benefit to the applicant. Yeah. An area benefit that the applicant is seeking against the harm or detriment. That's one purpose of analysis. But generally speaking,
They have good ones. I also used to see they wanted, there was one big specific structure there, but they wanted.
I can see, but I don't share it.
Quiet, so let's go, keep it in order and make your decision, please. Thank you.
Well, somebody has to make motions and we have.
I'll make a motion to go through that.
You gotta make a motion to grant it or not grant it, and somebody needs.
I don't see an issue for that. There's been good stuff in there.
I think motion is right. Motion to grant the variance as reflected. Second. Bruce the second in the motion. All in favor to grant the variance as requested? Aye. The aye. One no. The motion is passed. So congratulations, Ron.
Thank you, folks. I have $100 application fee for this. I have a check in my hand. Where do I send that?
Dan, you know where the application fee would go? It's the village office.
Yeah, village office.
Village
Village
office.
office? Okay. I'll get that right out. I appreciate everybody's time very much.
All right.
Have a good night.
Thank you. That's a question we gotta pull that on. And then when you have to read the December minute.
They were, the session. Meeting, you know. Don't put down. You'll go over that discussion. I'd say, I mean, move that we approve the special meeting notes in December.
All in favor to pass the December meeting minutes? Aye, unanimous. Patricia has made a motion to adjourn. Dan seconded it. All in favor? We are closed. Very good.